Attack on Titan Season 4 Episode 22, titled THAW. In the last episode of Attack on Titan, we had the extremely sad and shocking backstory of the founder Ymir Fritz. We learn of the origin of the Titans through our memories and how the reign of the Eldians and this constant cycle of war and bloodshed came to be. However, Eren, being the person he is, told Ymir that he would put an end to the world and that she should make a choice as to whether she will remain in the past for eternity, being a slave to the Fritz King's cruel ideology, or whether she would lend him his power to stop this once and for all. And with Ymir's tears being a means of reflecting her true feelings in this situation, Eren gained the power of the founding Titan and initiated the rumbling, while proclaiming to all subjects of Ymir that he would take every single life outside the shores of paradis, which definitely made for an insane cliffhanger. So today I'm going to be breaking down and analysing this latest episode of Attack on Titan, while clearing up some things you might have missed or weren't sure about. So if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Attack on Titan content. And as always, I appreciate the crazy love you guys show on these breakdown videos. Also, let me throw in a quick question for you guys since we've reached the halfway point of part 2 of the final season. And the question is, what episode has been your favourite so far this year? Be sure to comment that down below, as I'm genuinely curious to see you guys' thoughts and opinions on that. And personally speaking, for me it would have to be either last week's episode, as I feel that was handled and executed perfectly, or Memories of the Future, where we had the insane plot twist. Also, a quick disclaimer, there's really not that much to go over for the majority of today's episode, just because it was so action packed, so keep that in mind. And because of this, I'll go into details with things I need to, while also giving my overall thoughts on certain scenes, just so the video isn't completely boring and a meaningless recap. However, that's enough from me, let's get right into the episode. With the beginning of episode 22, we see the reaction of the Eldians who live on Marley to Eren's declaration of wiping out all the people who don't live inside paradis. And in particular, we see the reaction of Mr. Leonhardt, who is Annie's father, which is telling given the way we end the entire episode. We then see Gabi and Reiner walking around trying to find Falco, since he would have turned back into a human after eating Galliard, but he's nowhere to be seen. And Reiner's struggling to keep up with Gabi since he got injured when the walls fell because his armor was undone at the exact same time. And despite Reiner's injuries, he's insanely worried at the fact that Eren's going to destroy the entire world, and he tells Gabi that she needs to run and that there's nobody that can stop Eren now that he started the rumbling. As he falls asleep, Gabi vows to bring everyone back, as we see her have a moment which is a parallel to Eren's fight scene in the mirror, where he was resolving himself in the first part of the season. There's been a lot of parallels between Gabi and Eren in the final season, but this one is definitely my favourite, especially taking into account how much her character's changed and developed by this point in the story. So shortly after this, we see the main scout members on top of the roofs watching the rumbling, and the interesting thing about this is that they're conflicted about the whole situation, since they now know that Eren has decided to annihilate everyone outside the walls to protect them and the people in paradis. Even though this was the only possible option, they can't help but feeling bad about the situation, knowing that literally the whole world, be it enemies or innocents, are going to be wiped out by the rumbling. However, more pressing matters are at hand, as we learn that just as Reiner speculated, Jan and Connie now have Falco with them. And naturally, since they don't owe Falco anything since he's their enemy, Jan comes up with the idea of feeding him to someone like Commander Pixis, who was recently turned into a Titan. And Connie opposes the idea and believes that his mother should be the one to eat him so she can revert back into a human. And personally speaking, I have to agree with Connie here. His mother's been in that village since season 2, so I definitely understand his desperation. We then see all of the pure Titans attacking surrounding civilians and just causing havoc, which was giving real season 1 vibes, which I absolutely loved. And there's even this one Titan which resembles Saul Goodman, shout out to my Breaking Bad fans, which was absolutely hilarious. But following Zeke's loss of control of the founder in the paths, Yelena manages to piece together that something must have happened to him due to the fact that his Titans are acting freely and the rumbling activated immediately. So no one is safe on the island of Paradis right now due to the threat of the Titans. And as I said earlier, this episode is just giving lots of season 1 vibes with the attack of the Titans, which I definitely enjoyed a lot. Next, we have one of my favourite parts of the episode, and that was Gabi saving the Blouse family from Mr. Now, who had been turned into a Titan. First things first, shout out to Mr. Now. He definitely didn't deserve to go out how he did, but he was one of the OGs. So it's sad to see him die like that, especially since he had a family he desperately wanted to get back to. But moving on from that, we have Kaya on the brink of being killed and eaten by Mr. Now. And this scene with Gabi saving her mirrors Sasha's initial saving of Kaya back in season 2 so well that it's not even funny. The voice acting here and the OST placement was executed amazingly, and it was just so raw seeing Gabi shoot Now's head off. Even the unconventional approach to fighting or killing Titans was captured here, with the way Gabi had to get up close and personal, the same way that Sasha did. And again, this whole scene, especially the wholesome reunion, just shows how much Gabi's character developed and how all the people around the world are the same. And shortly after this great moment, we have probably one of the best ODM sequences in the final season so far. But before I discuss how well Mappa handled this portion of the episode, I can't forget Keith Shady's having his little moment. We see Keith coming in to save the Yeagerists, who are the same people who beat him up back in part 1 if you remember, and it's a really nice scene seeing him take charge here, especially considering the fact that he thought he wasn't a special person. He thought that in life you were either special or destined to fail, the prime example of this being with Erwin, Grisha, and Eren, who he even went as far as to sabotage. But Keith specializes in training recruits to kill Titans, so seeing him protect them here was definitely cool. Also taken into consideration is one of the few things he's actually done in the series. I still remember when I picked up this series I had high hopes for the man due to his position, but better late than never. And with him being the only commander of the survey corps to retire, this man definitely needed a moment. However, with the next scene we have the main survey corps members and the others killing Titans, which was absolutely amazing. As I said prior, I think this is the best Mappa's done when handling the ODM maneuvering so far, and this was definitely a standout in the episode to me. I think they even played the OST they used for Historia and Hannes back in season 2, I could be wrong, which fitted really well here. And following the death of Commander Pixis and the pure Titans in the surrounding area, we cut to Jan and the others meeting up with the Marley and volunteers, and we see Yelena completely defeated since her and Zeke's dream is now dead, and Onyankopon realizing that his family is most likely going to die. Oh yeah, and we also had Flock's return, since that man literally doesn't die. Flock Loki has to be the luckiest person in this entire show, because this isn't the first time he's escaped what seems to be certain death, and the first thing he does is make a move on Yelena to capture all of the remaining volunteers. And with the final part of the episode, we see Gabi begging Armin to plead with Eren to save Falco and stop his threat on the entire world. And with the revelation from Gabi of the hardening on Reiner being undone, Armin comes to the conclusion that Eren's command was for all hardening to be undone, as we cut to Annie who has been freed from her crystal prison. And with that we come to the end of the episode. Episode 22 was definitely a spectacle. I feel like there was loads of nostalgic moments in this episode which were definitely a direct factor to how much I ended up enjoying it. So I'll give this episode an 8.5/9 out of 10. Also, Annie's back, which is completely crazy. So even though the rumblings already started, things are going to be getting even crazier going forward. And in terms of a breakdown, as I said earlier, there really wasn't that much to go into this episode, but I know some of you guys really look forward to these videos every week, so I felt obliged to post something. But let me know what you guys thought of the episode down below, and if you had any questions you'd like me to answer or something you want me to elaborate on, be sure to comment it down below and I'll be sure to respond. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe, as we are literally about to hit 10k subscribers. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.